go ahead and do that. But it also depends on the race course. If you're getting ready to go up a hill, there are certain courses that are right out of transition. You've got to climb a hill, so you might need your shoes clipped on and tight, depending on how good of a climber you are and what gear you've got it in. So I know that the Cape Girardeau sprint, you go straight up a hill. For some people, it's easier just to run up that hill, and once you get up that hill, clip in. That's a great race to just do that, especially if you're not in the right gear.
Which is actually a really good point. You should be in the right gear.
You should be in the right gear, which is why the day before you do your shakeout bike ride, and you make sure, because you've already seen transition, you make sure that you are in the right gear so you don't have any issues going out of transition.
All right, if you wear a helmet with a shield, helmet goes on, you mount your bike usually, right? And then as soon as I'm on the bike, right, flip the shield over, and it won't, you screw around with it forever, but it basically locks right to that. Okay, so if it's cloudy out, then you ride with it up for a bit.
Yeah.
Yep, it fogs. Okay, so any other questions about that one? Yeah.
Regardless, do you have to have your stuff on the ground on one side, regardless of which way your bike is mounted?
Yes. So you will have, it will say, it's like every other one. You see how the bikes are every other one?
Yeah.
So Chris's stuff is over there, Tori and I are over here, he's in between, right? So the next person is facing that way, and then this person's stuff would be here.
So it goes on the front side.
Right.
Of the
So
bike.
okay. So it always. All right. That's what that was my question. Is it always on like the?
It's always
front
on
side of your bike.
Yes.
Always on the front
So
side.
you're
of your
alternating sides per person,
Yes.
like where you'll be. Okay.
Yep. And in some races they'll let you rack handlebars out, but you'll see, like, okay, this is super tight because of the earlier situation. But like, for example, I am really short. When I arrive at transition the night before of an Ironman race where I drop my bike off the night before, my bike will literally not touch the ground typically. So I will rack bars first, and then in the morning you have to rack by your saddle. And so I will switch it out, and it's just much faster to pull your bike out that way.
So they also make, you can go to like Lowe's or Home Depot, they've got those like thick rubber twisty ties. And I've twisty tied my saddle or my handlebars to the rack before overnight. Make sure you take that off in the morning when you get there, but that'll keep it from blowing around and knocking bikes over in the middle of the night.
Okay. Any questions about T1?
Sam,
Yeah.
on the tri bags, are they required to be by your bike, or can they be at the end of the rack?
They can't be at the end of the rack at an Ironman event. I'm infamous for throwing my bike behind random bushes and then a bag behind random bushes and finding it later. So either someone has to take it from you, or you have to walk back to your car, or you got to figure out a system. Right, so like we have that race next weekend in Chattanooga, you can pop it under the tent. Okay?
Do you just put your wetsuit like on the towel when you're?
Okay, so you come in, right? You're like here, you strip off your wetsuit, you take it, and you get it out of the way, right? So his bike's gonna go out that way. So technically, I've got a little bit of space right here, right? Okay.
There are some people that will put it on the bike rack.
Yep. I've never
So
done
you will
that
see
yet.
that. I know that I have seen that.
Yep.
Just be careful because it's going to get in the way of your bike.
All right, I think this is a good time to discuss buckets in transition. As a policy at Evolve, we're anti-bringing buckets into transition.
Buckets.
Yes, it's like, and let me explain to you why. It's illegal at any race that is sanctioned by Ironman, first of all, so it's not a good thing to get used to. Two, it is beyond dangerous for participants. If someone knocks that bucket down, what happens to it? It rolls, right? People are running around. So you are essentially setting up the people who are competing with you for potentially hurting themselves. So if you are a person who has seen people bring that in and thought like, oh, that seems like a really good idea, you got to get rid of that idea because it's dangerous and it's actually, it causes a ton of chaos and transition. It takes up a lot of space.
And looks stupid.
Okay. She is not a paid employee of Evolve. Let's just clear that up.
If you need to sit down to change, sit on the ground.
Sit on the ground.
Which is also where you compete.
Which is
Yep. Okay, so then let's go. Are we good to go right to T2? Does everyone feel good about that one? All right, so T1 is always going to be your longer transition. There's just more stuff to do. But you're gonna come in off of your bike, right? You gotta, obviously my socks are already on. You're gonna take your shoes off and your helmet off and get them out of the way. So my setup then, remember we talked about you wanna do anything you can do on the run while running. So
So in an Ironman event, if you are touching your bike, your helmet has to be buckled.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
So you cannot unbuckle and take your helmet off while you are running into your bike rack. So in order to save time, don't do that because you can get disqualified.
Yes.
You also have to wear a helmet the day before if you're warming up
Yes.
on your bike.
Yes.
Yes. And if you ride your bike to transition, you need to have a helmet on. Okay. So the thing that has to get done in my situation with this race belt is, and this has to go on before my sneakers, right? So this goes on first, and then once that's on, I put my shoes on, which is usually faster and race maybe. Who knows? You just gotta MacGyver it. You gotta be calm, right? In the chaos. Then I put sunglasses on because I have a shield on. So here's what I do. Anything and everything that I need is in my hat. Okay? So once I'm like this, I can leave. I can start to run out of transition. So as I am running out of transition, I'm putting my sunglasses on. I pull my nutrition out and I put my hat on. And as I am running, I am distributing my nutrition. So because I am a female, I put everything in my sports bra. Okay? So this is a lot, but I actually would have a plastic baggie.
Lucky you.
And I just do this and I run out. Okay? And you will see that there will be many athletes that will have everything down here. And then eventually, as I am running, I might sort of distribute it around, but I am doing anything I can on the run. I'm not standing here putting these in random pockets. I am running away with this stuff. The other thing that you have that is another great tool is your mouth. You can run with stuff in your mouth, okay? You can ride with stuff in your mouth. So there are many pictures of me starting the bike with like a gel in my mouth until I get comfortable and then I can take it. But whatever you can do while running. And then the reason why I kind of keep all of my nutrition in a little, I actually would, this is the system I would use. It would be in a plastic baggie and I would do that because then everything is kind of contained until I can kind of distribute it around as I am running, and maybe I'll ditch the plastic bag. If you are a male, I don't know what you do.
I put my nutrition in the naked belt before.
As you're running. Oh,
no, before.
And you can put it on.
And I can just pull it. It's closed enough that it won't fall out, and then I just slip the whole thing on over that. If not, then
They don't have tips to get over.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think sometimes the top might be tight enough. I have seen men sometimes stuff them in their tops a little bit as they're running as well.
You actually can even do this.
Yeah, I do that.
Right? If it's a really hot race and you have a bottle that's, like you can actually do that too. You can ride your bike like that too. So if you need extra fuel, right? So if it's hot and you can grab an ice cold bottle of water from an aid station on the bike, you can ride with the water down the top of your shirt. There's actually an incredible video of Patrick Longa in Kona. Has anyone ever seen that? He's going through a transition. He has like a bottle of Coke in here and like a bottle of water in here, and he is just like sponge, like whipping these things out, shoving these things in, and he's running, a 6-minute mile or 5-minute mile as he's doing it. So you can just kind of get creative with what you use. I would say after that, then you're out of there, you're good to go. But we could talk a little bit about aid station management if you want to.
I have a question. Are you not wearing the belt during the bike?
No. Okay. In Europe, you have to. If you ever race in Europe. Random fact, but it's true.
So you have the number on the helmet during the bike.
There's one race in the United States that you have to wear a belt while you're on the bike, and that is Oceanside, and that's because you race through Camp Pendleton. But other than that, you don't have to that I can think of.
Okay.
Right?
That's because
Can't
you
think of
race
them.
what?
Through Camp Pendleton.
Oh.
The majority of the bike course is there. All right.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Would you advise against it?
Wearing your belt?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. It's flapping in the wind the entire time. Anything that is not tight to your body is slow.
Also, when it's hot out, the least amount of crap I can have on my body. It's also why we don't recommend riding or running with a camelback. 'Cause if it's hot out, the last thing you want to do is trap heat anywhere, and that'll just serve to do that.
A race belt? Oh, so that one is a naked belt. This one is a more traditional style.
That's what you'll see most people have.
Yep.
And you can
Chris,
shove gel
even if wearing one of
inside
those?
and
Yeah,
inside.
I don't put it on until the run.
Yeah.
So this one, if you have this traditional belt, when should you put this on?
During the run,
You're on your way out.
When you're on your way out, while you're running.
put it in
right?
your cap.
You'll see actually a lot of people they will literally just use like a piece of elastic. Daniela Riff, fastest female in the world, she just literally raced with a piece of elastic.
And as long as, at least all the races I've been at, as long as you're holding your number belt, they don't care. You can get out without a problem.
Yep. All right, I think we can just quickly talk about aid station management because I think that's really important. Local races are going to be set up differently, but in Ironman events, they're always a mirror image. All right, so it's always
Water.
Water, Gatorade, gels, water, Gatorade, gels. So you always have 2 chances. Locally, there's going to be 1 chance for everything. But again, the thing that we talked about earlier is your voice is your best advocate. So when you arrive at an aid station, whether on the bike or on the run, you need to advocate for what you want. On the bike, when you are coming up, so we would recommend to our athletes that they start the bike with fuel to get them through at least a few aid stations. In Ironman sanctioned events and most half Ironman events that are going to be local are going to mimic that. They're going to be aid about every 15 miles, okay? So I don't actually grab aid at all until maybe the 3rd aid station. If it is hot, I will grab water, but I won't grab anything else. So when you are coming into an aid station on your bicycle, it's really important to make sure that you make eye contact with a volunteer who's holding a bike bottle like this. The volunteers have all been trained, but they don't always adhere to this. If you come and you see a volunteer who's holding a bike bottle like this is a really dangerous situation, okay? And the reason for that is if I try and grab this while riding 20 miles an hour, she's not gonna be able to let go of it. I'm gonna knock her down and she's gonna potentially knock me down. So just make sure they either have to hold from there or they're holding like this. So you yell, I need water, I need water, I need water, I need water, and then look at the person, make the eye contact, you grab and go. When you get to the run, again, the same thing. You start to yell what you want before you get there. And I will literally be like, I want ice, and they'll be like, there's ice in the bucket, and I'm like, I need you to hand me the ice. I'm not bending over, and then they'll hand you the ice. Sometimes they just need to be told what to do because they don't, they're like 12-year-old kids. They have no idea. So the biggest piece of advice, since we're going into very hot weather, is that you are learning how to manage the heat as you are on your run, because that is what's going to slow you down. So ice is the #1 tool that you have in your arsenal to use, and we would recommend that you would use ice down your kit. Okay, so you have an artery, right, that runs up your body, that cools your core. So ice down your shorts, tons of ice. If you wear,
put the ice in the sock,
right down the
top. I literally
top.
go like this, and I just literally throw the ice down my kit, and it will get down there. And if you have a 2-piece on like Tori does, you pull it out and you dump the ice down.
Yeah, I don't even unzip. Just pull it out. Ice in the top. Everywhere.
Everywhere.
I have actually had, before, when we did Florida several years ago, they had volunteers and they didn't have them in the cups yet, and this 12-year-old girl had it in her hands, and I pulled out my shorts and I said, dump it. And she looked at me, I said, dump it. And she dumped it, and next time I came around, I'm like, you, dump it in my shorts. And she was like, gotcha. I mean, she knew. I was just like.
And then ice in your hat works well, and ice in your hands. Those are your cooling, like your head, right, in your hands. If you don't wear a hat and you wear a visor and it's really, really, really hot, you can flip your visor. It looks completely ridiculous, but you can flip your visor like this, and you can put a ton of ice in it. And when you are like desperate at at the 15K mark, and it feels like worlds are colliding and you're not gonna make it, sometimes that will cool you down. I've raced some pretty hot races, actually in Augusta. I literally just was like, okay, my only goal is to get from ice to ice and just keep moving forward. Other questions that you guys have. Females can race like this. You have to have your sternum covered. Okay, so if it's really hot, you can actually race like this. And you can cross the finish line like this. If you're uncomfortable, you can tuck it in. But you do not have to have your kit zipped up. If you are a male who is not wearing a sports bra, and I've actually seen some male professionals race in a sports bra for this exact reason, you have to have your kit up and it has to be zipped up to here. Okay, so you have to have something that covers right here. It's just the rule.
I think Ironman's different now, isn't it?
What?
Ironman's different now. You can have it all the way unzipped. I think you have to cross with it up.
You have to cross with it up.
But you can zip it all the way down.
Yes, but you have to cross.
But you have to cross the finish line with it zipped up past your sternum, but you can unzip it all the way.
But it can't, that isn't the rule, like it can't be flat. So like Joey suits work, but if you have like I think there's like a flapping rule.
Yeah, and
like
it has to be zipped up when you cross the finish line unless you're a female and then you have a sports bra on.
Tell them about trash on the bike.
Yep. So
you can get in the run too.
In both cases, there'll be a last chance trash thing, and you have to throw out garbage within those confines. You cannot intentionally litter. If you're riding your bike and your bike bottle falls off, you don't need to turn around and go pick it up.
Don't do that.
Do not do that. You didn't intentionally do it. I'm trying to think what other things. I think that's it really.
Disposable bottles when you start, so that when you go to aid to get. So
exactly.
The bottles you start with, you don't want them to be your favorite water bottles, because when you're approaching that aid station and you've got two water bottle spots on your bike, you're going to take the empty one and you're just going to toss it, and that water bottle's gone, so that you can grab a new one and put in that slot.
Yep. And actually, it's remarkable how people get very attached to their water bottles. Like, I've had people be like, well, I didn't take my last in aid because it was my favorite insulated Camelback water bottle. So don't
They
do
are
that.
replaceable.
Yeah, and actually you can find some decent smart water. Those water bottles, if you have, those will work. They'll fit in your cages. But you need to make sure.
Not the ones that are this height. They're too narrow.
Yeah, you have to work and make sure that they fit. Yeah, I think that covers it, right?
What about hydration system? Like, will you refill that? Would you recommend refilling hydration system?
You fill it yourself. I have a hydration system. It's not on my bike
Mine
now.
Mine has the filling.
This one is Susie has hers on her bike. So while I'm riding my bike, I'm filling this. Okay? Yep.
Yeah.
So what's the thing that you need to do? Like when you guys go out on training rides, do you stop at a stop sign and take in your fuel? Probably most of us do, right? Don't do that. Practice it. You need to be able to ride your bike